I thought the scholarship was the miracle. It wasn't.
I knew this day would come. I just didn't know it would come dressed in perfume and Abuja money.
I am proud. I am ready to be his mother.
I opened the envelope with hands that will not stop shaking. The letter is one page, clean, formal. The university crest at the top in dark blue ink. I have been staring at this envelope for 14 minutes without opening it. I know because I am counting, and counting is what I do when I'm afraid of what comes next. I read the first line. I read it again. I put the letter down on my desk and I pick up the photograph beside it instead. A boy, 16 years old, standing in front of a chalkboard. He has filled from corner to corner with equations. He is not smiling at the camera. He never smiles at cameras. He finds them dishonest, but there is something in his expression that the lens caught anyway. A kind of quiet satisfaction. The look of someone who checked his work 3 times and found it correct. He has his mother's cheekbones, but everything inside that face, I put there. I know what the letter says. I have known since the school called yesterday. I am not shaking because I don't know. I am shaking because I know exactly what this letter is going to bring back through my door. Not the scholarship. What the scholarship will bring back. I need to take you back 10 years. Because you cannot understand what is at stake today without understanding what it cost me to get here. I am 38 years old. My name is Blessing Okafor. I am a primary school teacher in Lagos. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment that I have rented for 9 years because every time I saved enough for a deposit on something bigger, something more urgent arrived. School fees, hospital bills, extra lessons, the specific, endless mathematics of raising a child alone. But at 28, I was a different person. At 28, I had a savings account with 67,000 naira in it. I checked it every Friday, not because I was anxious, but because I liked watching it grow. It was proof that my plans were real. I had application forms for a master's degree in education sitting in a folder under my bed. I had a man named Adewale who brought me chin chin from the woman on Okota Road every Sunday. The kind made the right way with just enough pepper, and he brought it without being asked every single week, and I never told him this was one of my favorite things about him. I regret that now. My sister Nena was 24 that year. She was the beautiful one, our mother's worry, our neighborhood's fascination, the kind of face that makes people forgive things before she finishes apologizing. She had been seeing a man from the mainland, married, nice car, beautiful words, the kind of man who treats a young woman like a discovery until the moment she becomes a complication. The moment she became a complication, he disappeared. She called me on a Tuesday from a stranger's phone, crying so hard I could not make out the words, just her voice, breaking and breaking and breaking. I put down my Friday savings account check, and I became someone else's plan. Nena moved into my apartment for the final weeks of her pregnancy. I watched her hold her belly at night and looked for something in her eyes. Readiness, instinct, the particular settling that I had seen in other women when they finally accepted what was coming. I found something. But it looked more like fear than readiness, and I told myself, fear is normal. Fear is just love that hasn't found its shape yet. Give her time. The baby arrived on a Thursday morning. He was healthy and loud and had his mother's cheekbones already visible on his tiny face. We named him Koladi. For 3 weeks, Nena was present. She fed him. She held him. She called him my baby with an ownership in her voice that made me breathe more easily. I told myself I had been wrong. I told myself instinct had arrived, just a little late. I told myself everything was going to be fine. I am very good at telling myself things. On the morning of the 22nd day, I woke up early to prepare for school. Nena's bag was gone. Nena was gone. Only Kolade remained, sleeping in the wrapper I had bought because Nena kept forgetting to. Breathing in that enormous way that newborns breathe, as if each breath is its own small achievement. There was a note on the kitchen table. I read it 4 times. Blessing, I am sorry. I am not strong enough for this. You are the strong one. You have always been the strong one. He will be better with you. I will come back when I am better. Please don't hate me. N. The first time I read it, I felt panic, cold and physical and total. My stomach dropping the way it does when you miss a step in the dark. The second time, I felt rage. The third time, and this is the one I am most ashamed of, I felt something close to relief, because at least now I knew, at least the thing I had been half expecting, half dreading, had finally arrived and named itself. At least I didn't have to keep watching the door and wondering. The fourth time I read the note, Collard started to cry. I put the note down. I picked him up. He was warm and furious and smelled like newborn skin. That specific smell that is like nothing else on earth. He stopped crying almost immediately, like he recognized me, like some part of him already knew which arms were going to be the ones that stayed. I called the school. I said there was a family emergency. There was a family emergency. His name was Koladi. And I have never, not once, not even on the hardest nights, wished it otherwise. If you are new here, stay with me. This story is going to take you somewhere. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Let me show you what the early years actually looked like. Not the version where sacrifice is noble and quiet and clean. The real version. Because you need to understand exactly what was on the table when Nena came back. 3 months after Collard was born, I sat at the same bank counter where I had opened my savings account and I closed it. The teller asked me twice if I was sure. I was sure. I opened a new account at the same counter and I named it Collard. I transferred everything. I told myself I would reopen the old account when things settled. Things did not settle. I stopped waiting for them to. My mother came to visit when he was 8 months old. She held him on her lap and watched me with those careful eyes of hers. The eyes she uses when she has already formed an opinion and is deciding whether to share it. She shared it. "You are too attached," she said. "He is 8 months old, Mama. Someone has to be attached. Nena will come back. She always comes back. And when she does, I said, taking him from her lap, she will meet a boy who knows his name and his teacher's name and which food makes him sick and which lullaby makes him sleep. Let her come back. I am not afraid of her." I was lying. I was more afraid than I had been of anything in my life. But fear and love look exactly the same from the outside, and I had decided that no one, not even my mother, would ever see the difference in me. The first man to leave was named Emeka. He was kind until the evening he sat across from me on my small veranda and said carefully, gently, "Blessing, this child, is he ever going home?" I looked at him across the plastic table. "He is home," I said. Emeka left 2 months later. He was not a bad man. He was a man who wanted a life without a complication they had not created. I understood him completely. I simply could not be the person who gave him what he wanted. When Collard was 9 years old, I noticed something that undid me quietly, without warning. Every other Saturday, I took him to the small restaurant on Adeniran Ogunsanya. Plastic chairs and ceiling fans and jollof rice worth every minute of the wait. I always ordered water. I had been ordering only water for 4 years because a full meal for 2 cost more than a full meal for 1, and his growing body needed it more than mine did, and I had stopped noticing that I was doing it. He noticed. He looked up from his food one Saturday and said, "Auntie Blessing, you always just drink water. Are you not hungry?" 9 years old. He noticed. After that, I always ordered something. Because he was watching, and because some lessons need to travel in both directions. When he was 9, the school called on a Monday. 3 terms of outstanding fees. They would not allow him to sit his examinations. I went to the drawer where I keep the things that cannot be replaced. Papa's gold earrings. The ones he gave my mother on their wedding day. The ones she pressed into my hands when he died and said, "You are the one who carries this family the way he would have wanted." I took them to the market on Wednesday. The woman gave me less than they were worth. I took it anyway. Kolade sat his examinations. He came first in his class. He showed me his results with that serious face of his, not smiling, just watching me read the numbers. And I thought, yes, this is what Papa's earrings were always for. The right sacrifice always reveals itself eventually. And then there was Adewal, not the Sunday chin-chin Adewal of my 20s. That chapter had closed quietly when Kolade arrived. This was a different Adewal, a civil engineer, a widower, patient in the way of men who have loved and lost and decided that love is worth the risk again. He listened when I spoke, not waiting for his turn, actually listening. He remembered things I mentioned once, casually, weeks earlier. He asked about Collard by name and asked specific questions, not "how is the boy," but did he finish the mathematics project he was worried about? For 8 months, I let myself be happy. I had forgotten what it felt like to be happy for myself, not through Collade's achievements, not in the reflected light of his progress, but directly, personally, just for me. It felt dangerous. I kept waiting for it to break. One Sunday evening he said, Blessing, I want to be serious with you. I need to understand something. Kolade, his mother is still alive. There is no legal arrangement. If she came back and wanted him, why are you asking this? Because I want to build something with you, and I need to know what I am building on. He was being reasonable. I could see it. A reasonable man asking a reasonable question in a gentle voice with genuine concern in his eyes. But what I heard underneath the reasonable words was this. He was already preparing for Colette to leave. He was already building a future where Colette was a temporary condition. And I understood with a clarity that almost hurt. I cannot love someone who sees my son as a condition. I ended it 3 weeks later. I told my friend Sister Ngozi it was mutual. Sister Ngozi looked at me for a long moment and said, okay. She knew. She always knows. That night I sat on the floor of my bedroom. Not the bed, the floor. Because sometimes grief needs to be closer to the ground. And I counted what loving Kolade had cost me. 1 master's degree, 1 savings account, 1 set of gold earrings, 3 men who could not stay, every version of myself that existed before the morning. Nena left. Then I counted what loving him had given me. I ran out of numbers before I ran out of things. I got off the floor. I checked that he was sleeping. I went to bed. This is what love looks like when it has no audience. You count your losses, you count your gains, you get off the floor, and you go back to the work. Khaled at 10 years old is a person I want you to meet properly, not as a baby who needed saving, not as the reason for my sacrifice, as a person, because that is what he is, the most specific, fully realized, quietly extraordinary person I have ever known. He does his homework before I ask him to. Then he marks it himself and corrects his mistakes before showing it to me, because he told me once, your name goes on your work, Auntie Blessing. Your name should mean something. I don't know when I said that to him. I must have said it 100 times without realizing, and he absorbed it and made it his own. He makes my tea without being asked. 1 spoon of sugar and a splash of milk, not too much, not too little, and he puts it in front of me when I come home from school without looking up from whatever he is doing. He does not ask for thanks. He does not wait to see if I noticed. He just does it because he noticed I was tired before I said a word. He has always noticed. One evening I come home and he is at the kitchen table working through a mathematics problem that was not assigned. I sit down across from him. Did you finish your homework? Yes, but I got 1 problem wrong in the extra work I set myself. How do you know it is wrong? I checked it 3 times and it keeps coming out wrong in the same place, which means the mistake is in my method, not my arithmetic. I stare at him. When did you become 40 years old? He almost smiles. I learned from someone, he says, and he goes back to his work. When he is 13, he comes into the kitchen one evening and leans against the counter with his arms crossed, not defensive, or just contained, the way he holds himself when he has been thinking about something for a long time and has finally decided to say it. Auntie Blessing, Kolade, my biological mother, is she still alive? Not. Where is she? Not. Why did she leave? Not. Does she think about me? Just, is she still alive? The precision of the question stops my breath. He has been thinking about how to ask this. He has narrowed it down to its smallest, most essential form. I sit down at the kitchen table. I tell him the truth, simply, without anger, without making him feel like he has asked something dangerous. Yes, she is alive. She left when he was 3 weeks old. She left a note. The note said she was coming back when she was better. She has not contacted us. He is quiet for a moment. Then, does it make you angry? What she did? I consider lying. I decide against it. He deserves the truth more than he needs my protection from it. Yes, I say. For a long time it made me very angry. Now it mostly makes me sad for her. She missed you, Kolade. Whatever her reasons, she missed all of this, and you cannot get that back. Not a single day of it. He nods slowly. He gets up. He rinses his glass. He goes to his room. 10 minutes later he comes back. Auntie Blessing. Yes? Thank you for not leaving. He goes back to his room. I wait until I hear his door. Then I cry. In that particular silent way I developed when he was a newborn, the way that makes no sound at all, because someone small was always sleeping nearby and you never wanted to frighten them. He's not small anymore. He's 13 and almost as tall as me. But the body remembers. Old habits of love don't change just because the person grows. If this story is moving you, hit the like button. It helps more people find stories like this one. I need to tell you about the day everything changed. Kolade is 16. He comes home from school on a Thursday afternoon and places an envelope on the kitchen table in front of me. He says nothing. He just stands with his arms at his sides and watches me read. I open it. I read the first line. I read it again. I set it down and look up at my son. This boy who stayed up until midnight solving mathematics problems no one assigned him, who sold the video game he saved for 8 months to buy so he could afford additional textbooks, who walked into every examination hall with a certainty that came not from arrogance but from knowing exactly how much he had prepared. Kolade, I say. Yes? Do you understand what this is? He almost smiles. I think so. This is everything, I tell him. This is every early morning and every late night and every school fee and every extra lesson. This is all of it, arriving at once in one envelope. Do you understand? He looks at me for a long moment. I understand, he says quietly. I didn't want to waste what you planted. I planted something, and it grew, and it knew. It has always known exactly who planted it. Within 48 hours, the whole neighborhood knows. Neighbors bring food. The church announces it on Sunday. My colleagues at the school organize a small gathering, and Sister Ngozi holds both of my hands and says, "You did this, nobody else, you. Remember that when things get complicated." I smile at her. Why would things get complicated? She looks at me. She doesn't answer. That evening my mother comes. She hugs me longer than usual. When she pulls back, her eyes are careful. That specific careful, that means she's holding something back. Enjoy this moment, my daughter, she says. Mama, enjoy this moment. She squeezes my hand once, hard. Whatever comes next, hold on to how this feels right now. Keep it somewhere safe inside you. I don't understand why her congratulations feels exactly like a warning. I understand 11 days later. On the 11th day after the scholarship announcement, on a Saturday morning, someone knocks on my door. I open it, and the world stops. She is standing on my doorstep with a gift bag in one hand and a smile that has not aged a single day. She is wearing clothes that say Abuja money, not flashy, but considered, the kind of careful dressing that takes time and resources. She smells expensive. She is beautiful. She has always been beautiful, the kind of face people forgive before she finishes apologizing. Blessing, she says. I say nothing. I heard about Kolade, she says. About the scholarship. I'm so proud of him. And there it is, the first thing out of her mouth after 10 years of silence. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I know what I did. Not, I have no right to be standing here. Proud of him, as if pride is something she has earned, as if watching from a distance, hearing through relatives, or reading between the lines of other people's news is the same as being there. I step back from the door, not to welcome her, just because I need more space to breathe. She comes inside. I do not offer tea. This is noticed. This is intentional. She sits on my sofa. The sofa Kolade and I picked out together 3 years ago from the market on Tejosho because the old one finally gave up. And she looks around my apartment with an expression I cannot read. You've made it nice, she says. Nena. My voice is quieter than I expect it to be. Why are you here? She looks at me directly. She has rehearsed this. I can tell by the way the words come. Measured, ordered, prepared. I've built a good life now. I have an apartment in Abuja, a good job, stability. Oh, I'm ready. Ready for what? To be his mother. The room goes very still. I want to take him to Abuja with me, she continues. To be part of his preparation for the scholarship. To finally be there for him. To finally be his mother. To finally be his mother, I repeat. Yes, I look at her. Nena, who sat outside the hospital for 6 hours when he was 2 years old and his temperature would not break? Who learned to braid hair? I cannot braid hair. I have never been able to braid hair. Because he mentioned once that other children's mothers did it, and I could see on his face that it mattered. Who sold Papa's earrings? Mama's wedding gift, the most precious thing she ever gave me, so that he could see the examinations that led to the letter that brought you to my door. She looks at her hands. I know what you did, she says. I am grateful. I am not interested in your gratitude. My voice is so calm it surprises even me. I am interested in what you believe gives you the right to walk into this apartment with a gift bag and use the word finally. She is quiet for a moment. Then she sits up straighter. I am his mother, Blessing. Whatever else, I am his mother. Biology is real. You cannot change that. You are right, I say. I cannot change it. Biology is not something you argue out of existence, but I have learned something in 10 years that Nena is only beginning to understand. Biology is a beginning. It is the first sentence of a very long story. Motherhood is every sentence that comes after, and she was not there for a single one. The days after Nena's visit are the strangest days of my life. I move through them the way you move through water, everything slightly slower, every sound slightly muffled, every ordinary thing carrying a weight it didn't have before. Sister Ngozi comes to my apartment on Monday evening. She has brought food she did not ask if I wanted. She puts it on the stove. She turns around. Where is she staying? At Mama's. She makes a sound that is not quite a word. Where is Kolade? At school. Does he know she's here? Not yet. She is quiet for a moment. Then she starts to pace. That particular Sister Ngozi pacing, that means she is holding something very large and trying to decide whether to put it down gently or throw it. She throws it. She heard scholarship and she smelled opportunity. That is all this is. Where was she when he had malaria? Where was she when he failed his first mathematics exam and sat in that corner and cried for 2 hours? Where was she for any of it? Any single moment of it? Ngozi, no. She stops pacing. I will not be calm. You be calm. You are always calm. You have been calm for 10 years and it is costing you everything. I will be furious for both of us. That is what I am here for. I look at my friend. I think about how lucky I am to have someone who will be furious on my behalf when I am too tired to be furious for myself. What do? I ask, and I hear, in my own voice, how exhausted I am, how deeply, structurally exhausted, the kind that goes all the way down to the bone. You let Kolade decide, she says, and you trust what you built. The neighbor who brought rice when the scholarship was announced comes to my gate on Wednesday morning with careful eyes and a careful voice. Blessing, I have been thinking, the woman carried him for 9 months. Blood is blood. I look at her. Blood is blood, I agree. So is the blood that ran through my body the 3 nights I didn't sleep when he had a fever. So is the blood in my feet after working 2 jobs for his school fees. Blood is blood. The question is which blood built him. She has nothing to say to that. She leaves. My mother calls me that evening. She is still my daughter, she says. I know, Mama. And Kolade is her son. I know that too. A long silence. Then, but Blessing, what you have built into that boy, the way he thinks, the way he treats people, the way he checks his work and notices when you're hungry and says thank you for things other children take for granted. No documents and no biology can reach inside a person and remove 10 years of love. Remember that. I'm trying, Mama. Don't try. Know it. On Thursday evening, Kolade comes home from school. He puts his bag down. He goes to the kitchen. I hear him, as I always hear him, by the specific sound his footsteps make on my floor. He makes tea. He brings 2 cups to the sitting room and puts one in front of me. He sits down. He looks at me. Tell me, he says. So I tell him, simply and without drama. His biological mother is here. She has been living a different life in Abuja. She is stable now. She wants him to come with her. He is quiet through all of it. When I finish, he is still quiet. Oh, did she ask about me? He says finally. Over the years, did she ever? No, I say. She did not contact us. He nods slowly. He picks up his tea. He holds it in both hands. I want to meet her, he says. I know. Is that okay? And this single question is everything that he would think to ask, that he would look at my face and want to make sure I was okay before he took a step, that even in the most destabilizing moment of his 16 years, he's checking on me first. Yes, I tell him. Of course it is okay. She's part of your story, Kolade. You have a right to know her. He meets Nena for the first time on a Saturday afternoon at my mother's house. I am not there. I am in my apartment, counting tiles on the floor, watching the clock, all unable to eat or read or think about anything except the specific coordinates of my own heart and how much it is capable of surviving. He comes home at 9 in the evening. He is quiet in a different way than usual, not shut down, not closed, processed, quiet. The quiet of someone who has taken something in and is still deciding where to put it. I make tea. I put a cup in front of him. I sit down. I do not ask how it went. I wait. He wraps both hands around the mug. She cried, he says. I know. She said she loves me. I believe her. He looks up. You do? Yes. Loving someone and being able to stay for them are two different things. She loves you. She was just never able to stay. That is not the same as not loving you. It is its own separate failure. He is quiet for a moment. Then, she wants me to come to Abuja. My hands are still on my mug. I have practiced for this. I have been practicing for this in the back of my mind for 10 years. In the quiet moments, in the 3 a.m. calculations, in every nightmare where someone knocks on my door and takes the thing I love most, I had imagined I would fight. I had imagined I would lay out the evidence of my love like exhibits in a courtroom. Every receipt, every bank statement, every scar from every sacrifice. I had imagined I would make the case so clearly and so completely that no one could argue with it. But sitting here now, across from this boy who makes my tea and checks his work, and noticed I was hungry before I admitted it to myself. I understand that fighting is not what love does. Real love opens its hands. Real love trusts what it built. Collard, I say, yes, whatever you decide, I will be here. If you go to Abuja, I will be here when you come back. If you stay, I will be here tomorrow morning. I am not going anywhere. I have never gone anywhere. That is the only promise I have ever made you, and I have never broken it. He stares at me. You're not going to fight for me. I have been fighting for you for 10 years, I tell him quietly. Tonight, I am trusting you to fight for yourself. Something moves across his face that I cannot name. He is quiet for a very long time. Then he says, I already know what I want. I just needed to know if you were going to be okay. He gets up, he washes his mug. He dries it and puts it back in the exact right place. At the kitchen door, he stops. Oh, Auntie Blessing. Yes? Which one of us made that scholarship happen? You did, I say. With whose help? I cannot speak. He nods once. That particular nod that means the answer has been received and filed. I know who I am, he says. And I know who made me. He goes to his room. I sit in the dark kitchen for a long time. I think about the girl I was at 28 with her 67,000 naira and her Sunday chin-chin and her whole clean, unplanted life. I think about everything she gave away, and I think about what is sitting in the room at the end of my hallway. A boy who knows who he is, a boy who checked on me before he answered for himself. I did not raise a child, I raised a person, and no one, not biology, not a gift bag, not 10 years of absence repackaged as readiness, can take credit for that. No one. Nena calls the family meeting herself. She frames it as a gathering, just family, just conversation, just a chance for everyone to share their thoughts about Kolade's future. She books it for the following Saturday at my mother's house. She tells everyone through the family WhatsApp group, which I am in, which means I see every response in real time. What a blessing that Nena is back. God is good. The boy needs his mother. I put my phone face down on the table. Sister Ngozi calls me 30 seconds later. Are you seeing this? I am seeing it. Blessing. I am fine. You are not fine. I will be fine by Saturday. She is quiet for a moment. I will be there, and I will be wearing my most uncomfortable shoes, so I have something to focus my energy on besides strangling someone. I almost laugh. Almost. Saturday arrives the way difficult days always arrive, too quickly and too slowly at the same time. My mother's sitting room fills up. Aunties and uncles and cousins and neighbors who consider themselves family because they have attended enough of our celebrations to feel entitled to our crisis. Nena is already there when we arrive. She has arranged the chairs, which tells me everything about how much she has been planning this. She looks beautiful. She always looks beautiful. Kolade sits beside me. He is very still. He is watching everything. Uncle Chuka speaks first. He is the oldest male voice in the room, and he knows it, and he uses it. He talks about the bond between mother and child, about blood, about the sacred nature of biological connection, about how a child needs to know his origins. Two aunties nod along. I keep my face still. Then Nena stands. Her speech is good. I will give her that. She is articulate and composed, and she cries at exactly the right moment, not too early, not too late. She acknowledges what I did. She says she is not erasing it. She says she is grateful. She says she knows she cannot recover the years she lost. But I am his mother, she says. Whatever else is true, I am his mother. I carried him. I gave him life. And I am finally ready to give him the life he deserves. Some relatives applaud. My mother does not move. Sister Ngozi's jaw tightens. I look at my hands. And then I hear, beside me, the sound of a chair moving. Kolade is standing up. Nobody asked him to stand. Nobody gave him the floor. He simply stands in that quiet, certain way of his. Like someone who has been waiting for the right moment and has decided privately that the moment is now. The room goes silent, not the polite silence of people waiting for the next speaker, the specific silence of people who understand that something important is about to happen. Collard looks at the room, not nervously, not defiantly, just steadily. The way he looks at a mathematics problem before he begins, then he speaks. I want to say something, and I am going to ask everyone in this room to listen completely before they respond. He pauses. He has the room. He knows he has the room. I understand what biology means. I know that Nena carried me and gave birth to me, and that this is not nothing. I am not dismissing it. He looks at Nena directly when he says this. His voice is not angry. It is factual, clear. But I want to ask some questions, and I want honest answers. Who was there the night I had a fever of 40 degrees and the hospital was 40 minutes away? Who drove with the windows open because the car had no air conditioning and talked to me the whole way? Kept talking, so I wouldn't be afraid, even though I could hear in her voice that she was more afraid than I was. Nobody answers. Nobody is supposed to. Who taught me that your name goes on your work and your name should mean something? So you check it not once but 3 times? Who sold her father's gold earrings? The ones her mother gave her as the most precious thing she owned, so that I could sit the examinations that led to the opportunity that brought everyone in this room here today. Who told me the truth about where I came from without giving me hatred to carry alongside it? Who was outside the examination hall? I told her not to come. I said I was fine, but she came anyway and waited 3 hours in the heat because she said, I will be where you need me, whether you know you need me or not. He pauses again. The room is so quiet I can hear the ceiling fan. I am going to study mathematics and computer science abroad on a full international scholarship. I worked for that. I am proud of that. But I worked for it because someone showed me every single ordinary day with no audience and no applause and no one watching that hard work is what love looks like when it has nothing to prove. He turns to Nena. She is very still. I do not hate you, he says. I want to be honest about that. I have spent 3 years preparing not to hate you because the person who raised me told me, hatred is a weight you carry alone. I refuse to let you carry it. You see, even in how she taught me to feel about you, she was protecting me, still putting me first, even when it cost her, even when you were the one she was protecting me from. Nena's eyes are wet. You are not a bad person. I believe that. But wanting to be my mother is not the same as having been one. And arriving when the harvest is ready does not mean you planted anything. The room is absolutely still. There is only one person in this room who knows what I eat when I am sick. Only one person who knows which subject makes me doubt myself. Only one person who has ever seen me cry. And I do not cry easily. Only one person I called when I got the scholarship letter. Before anyone, the very first person I thought of. He looks at me, and I look at my son. Home is not where you were born, he says. Home is where someone chose to stay. I am not going to Abuja. I am going wherever Auntie Blessing is, because she is the only home I have ever known, and I am not leaving home. The room is silent for a long time. Then my mother stands up. She crosses the room slowly. She puts both hands on Colad's face, her grandson's face, or her missing daughter's cheekbones, her present daughter's eyes, and she holds it. She looks at him for a long time. Her eyes are full. Then she turns to Nena. You heard your son, she says. He knows who he is. 6 words. The whole story in 6 words. Nena is crying now. Real tears, not performance, not strategy. The kind that come when the story you have been telling yourself finally collides with the truth and cannot survive the impact. She looks at me across the room, and for the first time, the very first time, in 10 years and 3 weeks and every single day in between, she says it without qualification, without condition, without anything attached. I'm sorry, Blessing. I'm sorry for all of it. I look at my sister. I look at the woman who left a note on the kitchen table and walked out and missed 10 years of the most extraordinary person either of us will ever know. I think about what it cost me, and I think about what it gave me, and I think about the boy standing in the middle of this room who checked on me before he answered for himself, who asked which of us made the scholarship happen because he already knew the answer and wanted me to say it out loud. I know, I tell her. Just that. I know. It is not forgiveness yet. Forgiveness is a longer road than one afternoon in a sitting room with a ceiling fan and relatives who came for a battle and witnessed a testimony instead. But it is the first step onto that road, and for today, for this moment, that is enough. If this story moved you, if you have ever loved someone with your whole life and wondered if it was enough, please share this video. Someone in your life needs to hear this today. I am back in my classroom now. Same desk, same amber afternoon light, same envelope, but now I understand everything the beginning withheld. I read the final confirmation line of the scholarship letter. We are pleased to confirm the acceptance of Kolade Okafor. I stop. Okafor, not Adeyemi. His birth name, his mother's name. Okafor, mine. He changed it 3 months ago, quietly, without telling me. I am only discovering it now in the official documentation. This formal, university-stamped, permanent record that says, in ink that cannot be erased, Kolade Okafor. He gave himself my name, not because anyone asked, not because anyone told him to, not because of any legal proceeding or family meeting or dramatic announcements, because he decided in that quiet, careful way he decides everything, that this is who he is. I sit with this for a very long time. I think about the girl I was at 28, with her savings account and her chin and a folder of master's degree application forms and a whole, clean, unplanted life ahead of her. I think about everything she gave away, and I think about what grew. You cannot harvest what you refuse to plant. But if you plant something, if you water it with your whole life, if you stay when staying costs you everything, if you love without an audience and without applause and without anyone watching, it will grow into something that chooses you back. Kolade Okafor, my son, my harvest, my whole extraordinary life. I close the letter. I pick up the photograph. The serious boy in front of his chalkboard full of equations, and I smile, not the careful public smile I have worn for 38 years like a uniform, the real one, the one only he has ever seen. If this story stayed with you, if you cried, if you felt it, if it reminded you of someone who raised you with their whole heart, please leave a comment below. Tell me who your blessing is. Tell me who stayed when staying cost them everything. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a story like this one. Like this video if Kolade's speech gave you chills. Share it with someone who needs to hear that the love they gave was not wasted. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for witnessing this story. Oh, you are not alone in this. Blessing.